ठीक है. What section 20 is saying here? Construction of orders issued under the enactments. Can you see the section 20 here? Page number, I would say, 1.29. दिख रहा है? अरे हम स्टडी मैथ में दिखे हैं. गिर जाएगा भाई आराम से. All right. So, what is about here? Section 20. So, look, guys, this looks like a little bit tough, but interpretation-wise, it's very easy. What it is trying to say? Tell me, what is the fundamental difference between, the act, rules, notification, and circular? So once the act is made, the government sometimes preserves the right that whenever I want to bring some changes to the act, I would do this by way of issuing the rules. Sometimes certain clarity is needed to the public, they issue the notification. And if some clarity what government wants to give to the internal department, it issues the circular. But what section 20 says, there is the act and there are so many other associated documents, associated additional lawful communications. So act, then what are the additional documents, additional communications? Rules, notifications, circular, bylaws. Bylaws stands for what? For example, memorandum of association and articles of association contains bylaws for the company. So look, what this section 20 is trying to say, that if act contains some definition, let's say definition of the person, definition of person, whatever meaning is taken in the act, the same meaning will be taken while interpreting rules, while interpreting notification to that act, while interpreting the other additional communications. You cannot have the two different meanings for the same word if rules belong to the same act. Meaning will be different only in the case when rules itself provides, act itself provides, that here you have to take the name or interpretation a little bit different than what is mentioned over there. Alright, do you get what I am saying? समझ में आई बात? So what 20 says that rules, notification, bylaws, circulars, terms and the sentences should be understood in connection with whatever is provided in the act. समझ में आई बात? ठीक है. देखो यहाँ पे लिखा है the term collector used in the rule 4 of the Land and Acquisition Companies Rules 1963 will have the same meaning as per section 3 clause C of the Land Acquisition Act 1894. So what they have said, whatever word collector is used in the rule will have the same meaning as used in the act. But I can't understand why I need to explain this. ये तो भाई common sense वाली बात है ना. Yes or no? But I guess you got it, right? Let's move on to section 21. Now what is section 21 is trying to say? Guys, section 21 is very much self-explanatory. Okay. Just right now we understood one section where we learned that power to appoint automatically includes the power to terminate, power to dismiss, power to suspend. Same way section 21 says that anyone who has issued the rules, issued the notification. Here anyone stands for any authority. I meant to say what? Any authority. Any authority who issued the notification, rules or anything, the same authority has the same right and the power to modify, to delete certain contents from the rules. Make sense or not? अरे भाई जिसने बनाया है उसी के पास तो राइट रहता है उसे डिलीट करने का, उसको मॉडिफाई करने का, ठीक है. सो टेल मी गाइस, सेक्शन 20 and 21, आर दिस टू क्लियर? आर दिस टू क्लियर? ऑलराइट. So here are few cases I want to read. Look, the first of all, Subhash Ram Kumar versus State of Maharashtra, Supreme Court, 2003. It is in the support of Section 20. It was held that notification in common English exception mean and imply a formal announcement of a legally relevant fact, and notification published in official gazette means notification published by the authority of law. It is a formal declaration and should be in accordance with the declared policies or statute. Notification cannot be substituted by the administrative instructions. So here they have tried to explain the word normal notification and notification what's published in official gazette. These two should not be considered as the same, they are different. That's what this I would say the point is trying to say. Section 21, we have the two important cases. The first one is the Rasid Javed versus State of UP. All over India Records, 2010, Supreme Court. It held that under Section 21 of the Act, an authority which has the power to issue a notification has undoubted power to rescind or modify the same. जिसने नोटिफिकेशन इश्यू किया भाई उसको विड्रॉ भी कर सकता है, मॉडिफाई भी कर सकता है. इन Shrishi Dobli Steels Limited versus State of UP, Supreme Court held that power under Section 21 of the Act is not so limited as to be exercised only once power. It can be exercised from time to time. What does it mean? You cannot say like this, once it was used in the past, so now the government cannot use this, or now the authority cannot use this. It can be used time to time. So whenever they issue some notification, and if they think like this is the proper time to come up with the alterations or certain amendments, the issuing authority can do this. So in fact, एक मुझे बात बताओ यार, ये दोनों मैटर आपने देखी यहाँ पे, बट दोनों केसेस कहाँ पे गए थे? सुप्रीम कोर्ट में. बट डोंट यू थिंक इट वाज कॉमन सेंस? यार उधर जाने की आवश्यकता क्या थी? Anyone could understand. But Supreme Court cases are giving more clarity on the provision because they have said a man who has issued the notice, the same man has the power to alter also. But there is no clarification how many times, how long. So these kinds of clarifications later on are getting given by whom? The courts. Clear? But 20 and 21 is clear. पक्की बात है, ठीक. Now this is something about 22. 22 is very interesting. Look at what is written here. Making of rules or bylaws and issuing of orders between the passing and commencement of enactment. I think it may give you some trouble. Let me create a question for this. एक छोटी सी question यहाँ पे समझ लेते हैं. Is it possible in the provision that act comes first and rules comes later on?
Sorry, act comes first and rules come
later. Possible or not possible? Even in fact today I am telling you there are so many words. In fact, do you know, while teaching the chapter of accounts of the company, I told you one thing. Section 128 capital A, what was there? 128 capital A says like this, that if the government makes the rules and notifies, certain class of companies has to prepare the financial statements periodically. Needs to get them audited periodically. Needs to file those returns to ROC periodically. But what are the exactly rules about it? Still it is not notified. So you see, the act has came in since 2014. This 128 capital A got inserted, I think, in the Amendment Act of the 2021. This is 2024, but still the government has not prepared the rules. So yes, students, it's quite possible that provision comes first, but the rules regarding the provision comes later. क्या मेरी बात समझ में आ रही है? What happens during that situation? So देखो सीधी सी बात है, if act comes first, act provision will be applicable from the date when it comes to the force, but rules cannot be applicable from the application of the act. और एक बात समझो, how can you follow the rules which are not made up yet? Do you understand? So section 22 is trying to say that law what is passed, law what is applicable will come into the force when it is commenced, but the rules with that regards, listen to my words, rules with that regards would be assumed as come into the force when rules are actually notified, rules are actually published. In short, 22 is trying to say that what is the validity of the rules after the act. तो एक सीधी सी बात आपको समझनी है, rules do not apply as soon as the act gets commenced. It will be enforceable only if it is made, prepared and notified to the public. क्या मेरी बात समझ में आ रही है? The same problem we had, what happened is, do you know, we have a chapter called the public deposit chapter we have. So law ने तो ये कह दिया section 73 में that if the company wants and according to the rules specified in section 73, company can issue the deposit. But what were the rules? I guess till 2018 rules weren't there. Rules weren't there. So everybody was confused. Deposit chapter is there, but dedicated rules are not there. What to do? In fact, the department ROC didn't have the answer. How can they answer without having the proper justification? So one of the best logical approach what we derived is like, let's keep on following the Companies Act 1956 rules until the new rules are coming to the picture. So today you understand that in between 2017 you come to me and say, Mr. Chirag, I want to go for the deposit. Tell me what to do. But मैं आपको क्या आंसर दूंगा? आपको डिपॉजिट इश्यू करनी है, मैं आपको क्या आंसर दूंगा? Should I say like this? Sorry, you can't because the rules are not there. ठीक है? तो ध्यान रखो, whatever old is there, that I told the client, अभी आप उसको follow करो. If the department is challenging this, we have one justification. What is the answer is? कि भाई, it is the government's mistake. Why you have not come up with the new rules? Now you tell me, they have come up with the new rules in somewhere in the 2018, suppose. Can the government say that old rules, like old deposit, what you have issued in the period of 16, in the period of 17, as they are not as per the new rules, they are null and void and you have to refund the money. Is this valid or not valid? No, because section 22 of the General Clauses Act clearly says that rules will be considered as enforced only from the date when it is actually published and notified. तब तक आप rules फॉलो करने के लिए बाउंड नहीं हो. Guys, am I clear with the 22? Am I clear with the 22? After that, I would like to go with the 23 students. Yeah. Provisions applicable to making of rules or the bylaws after the previous publications. So भाई इसमें कुछ बड़ी बात नहीं है, इसको आप 3 stars कर दो. Already this question been asked in exam, so I do not want to take a risk into that. It is providing one general procedure. If the government of India, whether state government or whether central government, wants to bring certain rules to the implementation, then what procedure, what standard procedure they should follow? As you know guys, the law doesn't come directly to the force. Before that, you have to follow certain procedure, like first of all prepare the draft, present it to both the houses of parliament for the discussion. Let's take the certain I would say recommendations, keep on changing that, discussion, voting to 2/3 majority in both the houses of parliament, get it signed by the President of India. Let's publish that into the official gazette. Then guys, people of this country are bound to follow those rules, those act, otherwise not. तो ये तो हो गई बात प्रोविजंस कैसे बनते हैं, एक्ट कैसे बनता है. What about guys rules now? Today if I ask you that explain the standard process of making the rules as provided under section 23 of the General Clauses Act, तो आप कैसे कहोगे? देखिए यहाँ पे जो लिखा है वो मिलता जुलता है. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल उन्होंने ये कहा है, राइट डाउन Don't kill that, okay? कुछ नहीं, don't look at down and don't kill it, let it flow. कॉकरोच है और कुछ नहीं. डरो मत, डरो मत, मारना मत बेटा. मेरे क्लास में हिंसा मत करो. नहीं, लॉ मानो, आप बिलीफ मानो, कुछ भी. मैं ये मानता हूँ कि हर एक प्राणी को जीवन का इक्वल राइट है. Just because the creator has made us superior, it doesn't have, actually it is our responsibility to protect the creatures, not to destroy them for sake of our comfort. ये मेरी सोच है. तो ठीक है, कुछ लोग कहते हैं आप मच्छर भी नहीं मार सकते. हाँ, मैं नहीं मार सकता, मुझे नहीं मारना मच्छर. आपको मार सकता हूँ, मच्छर को नहीं. ठीक है, लेट इट बी. भाई तो निकल जा, वरना किसी के पैरों तले मर जाएगा. So guys, there are 4 steps what I want to tell you. First of all, write down guys, drafting the rules. लिखो वहां पे drafting the rules. तो ये लिखा है यहाँ पे drafting the rules. Second, publish the rules before authority. For example, these are the income tax rules. So where you need to publish? To the finance ministry. I hope you understand this. Publish the draft before the proper authority. After then, notice of draft to be served. Notice of the draft to be served to concerned authorities. Take necessary approvals. Fourth point, take necessary approvals to make the draft to real rules. Take the necessary approvals to make the draft to rules. For example, finance minister, if in case of finance, DT GST rules, if you want to bring. Ministry of Corporate Affairs, minister's signature is compulsory whenever you want to introduce new Companies Act rules, like that. Fifth, publish the rules into official gazette, and that's all guys. Your rules are ready to be move on. Okay guys, so one more thing I'm telling you, section 23 also says that whenever the rules are published or getting notified, there is always presumption that the same procedure had been followed until and unless somebody challenges it. चलो, ये जो बात मैंने कहा ना, कंक्लूसिव प्रिजम्पशन, व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय प्रिजम्पशन? प्रिजम्पशन पे आज थोड़ी सी बात हो जाए. चलो मुझे एक बात बताओ, लॉ में प्रिजम्पशन का क्या मतलब होता है? Whenever I say presumption word, what do you mean by that? Presumption. And how the presumption word helps a lawyer to fight the case. देखो, presumption means to pre-beliefs. पहले से कुछ धारणा, पहले से कुछ मान लिया जाता है. Something which is already pre-assumed. For example, if a girl puts the allegations that I got raped, court क्या assume करेगा? Yes, it happened. So इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? Court will not ask a girl that you prove that you are raped. ऐसा नहीं होगा. Court will ask to those accused that you prove that it didn't happen. नहीं समझे आप? So presumption burden of proof change कर देता है. Burden of proof समझ में आ रहा है? किसी को क्या प्रूव करना है? If you want to study that, आपको सबसे पहले क्या स्टडी करना पड़ेगा? Presumptions. Presumptions are those assumptions what not need to be proved, because court will already assumes that things what is already assumed. Why you need to prove? Why? Other side need to prove if they want to say something contrary to this. Does it make sense? बोलो भाई, does it make sense or not? आप क्यों प्रूव कर रहे हो? उनको प्रूव करने दो. So once guys the rules are notified, Section 23 clearly says that it is presumed that all those steps what I have dictated right now have been properly followed. And if somebody challenges this, government will not prove that they have not followed this. Somebody else will follow, prove it, challenge it that government hasn't followed these kinds of rules. Do you understand what I'm saying? Section 24 is talking about the continuation of the orders issued under the enactments, repealed and re-enacted. पहले तो ये दो वर्ड समझ लो, repeal and re-enacted, ये समझ में आया? Companies Act 1956 comes under, and Companies Act 2013 comes under re-enacted. The service tax, VAT and excise comes under repealed, and GST comes under re-enacted. So law says until some new orders, new notifications or the new circulars are coming to the force, as far as the common points are concerned, orders, clarifications issued for the repealed act as it is will continue. Just now I have said that the Companies Act 2013 recently or initially didn't come up with the rules of the deposit. तो कौन से continue रहे थे? Old rules, old explanations, old justifications, because the point was common. I hope you are understanding. Does it make sense or not? Whatever explanations had been given in the old act, whatever judgments had been given by the Supreme Court in the old act, the interpretation shall as it is be continued in the new act until and unless they come up with their new rules, new justifications, new explanations. 24 is clear? So guys, with this I would like to tell you that we have completed the chapter number 3 also. Just look back to all the provisions section 20 to 24 and tell me, do you have any problem? Do you have any doubt? If you have, I'm here. Just ask me and then I'll go to the section 25 to 30. What's the last topic for this entire discussion? Come on, do it. चंदन ढोला रे आजा आजा कोई आवतू चित चित बलखाए आजा आजा चांदनीना चमकार था आजा आजा चांदनीना चमकार था
Today usually continue or only?
No, I'll continue till 3:15. After that, Sunil will continue. So I'll give you in between the 15 minutes break and 3:30 onwards, Sunil sir will continue. Because of some departmental meetings, he's busy there, so he'll place only my thing to you. Again, guys, I want to tell you from tomorrow we are starting the basic concepts of FEMA related questions and continue to that. So that's what मैं वही करूँगा. FEMA और company incorporated outside India I will do here, and once those two got over, I will try to complete the small topics जो member charge और हो रहा और जो नहीं हो पा रहा है till 25. What I will do is I'll give you the recordings because those are manageable, तो आराम से हो जाए. वो छोटे छोटे टॉपिक है यार, कुछ एक घंटे के 1.5 घंटे कुछ बड़ी चीज़ नहीं. Next Tuesday you have the test, वो भी आप ध्यान रखिएगा.
Oh, first, if this rate is in the start.
So now we are moving towards, I would say, 25 to section 30, which is talking about miscellaneous. Okay. So what do you mean by here the term called miscellaneous? So you see section 25 is talking about the penalty and the punishment. Did you see that? Come to this. Recovery of fines, penalty and punishment, 25. Is it possible for the lawmakers to prescribe the penalty and the punishment for each and every section? So assume this is the question for your exam, right? If you want to write, please write it down. Suppose a person has committed a crime under the act. Suppose a person has committed a crime under the act for which the specified act doesn't contain any punishment or fine. Specified act doesn't contain any penalty or fine. If the person has committed a crime, but the specified act doesn't contain any penalty or fine, by referring to the provisions of the General Clauses Act, by referring to the provisions of the General Clauses Act, by referring to the provisions of the General Clauses Act, explain what are the remedies. Explain what are the remedies. So I think that is very interesting what it is trying to say. Yes, that's what I am saying, that under certain offenses, if the particular act doesn't provide any fine provision, does it mean that he will not be charged with any fine or any penalty? ये तो गलत हो जाएगा ना भाई. And therefore, what is written under section 25, that if your act is silent about the fine, section 63 to 70 of the Indian Penal Code will be applicable, which is providing the fine and the penalty under certain crimes. Do you understand what I am saying? For example, fraud in the Indian contractor is not mentioned. Like, what is the punishment? Punishment mentioned under the Indian Penal Code will be as it is applicable. Same way, if your own provisions are silent about certain fine and the penalty, whatever is mentioned under section 63 to 70 of the Indian Penal Code, read with the Criminal Procedural Code shall be as it is applied. So you cannot say like this, that as the law is silent about the fine, I cannot be charged. यहाँ पे सीधी सी बात लिखी है भाई, आपका लॉ साइलेंट है तो ये लॉ लग जाएगा. सेक्शन 25 भी है, बट यहाँ तक किसको डाउट है? सेक्शन 25 आपका फाइन नहीं है तो आईपीसी का फाइन लग जाएगा. ये कहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है? It is mentioned in 25. Come to 26, provisions to offence punishable under the two or more enactments. Assume guys, Mr. Shreyas running a company. He's running a good company, but what happened is this company went into the frauds. 10,000 crore rupees fraud. Now, Mr. Shreyas was about to leave India, but suddenly Indian police officers caught him on airport. क्या रे लंदन जा रहा है, come back. नहीं जाने देंगे. He was arrested. Obviously, he has made the fraud. That's not a problem. The problem is he was charged double in two different acts. You know, guys, fraud is defined under like fraud punishment is there under section 447 of the Companies Act 2013, according to which the maximum imprisonment goes to what? 10 years. The same fraud is covered up under section 420 of the Indian Penal Code also, जिसको हम 420 बोलते हैं. तो उधर भी है. अब जज इतना पागल था, उसने क्या किया? So, Mr. Shreyas, you are covered up under the two different charges. So you have violated two charges. You have violated. So I herewith announce the punishment of the 7 years as per 420. So इसका ठीक है. And punishment of another 7 years as per 447 of the Companies Act. Shreyas बोला पागल है क्या ये? Guys, and listen to this words. And these two punishments are not concurrent. Concurrent means आप पैरेलली 7 years, दो 7 years जेल में नहीं रहोगे. फर्स्ट 7 years gets completed, then another 7 years will start. So total, you understand, 14 years of his life is going to be in hell, jail. Is it valid according to section 26 of the General Process Act? इस इतनी सी सवाल. मुझे एक बात बताओ, कितने सेक्शंस लगे इस इंटर एग्जाम्पल पे धनुष? How many sections got implemented? 2. But how many crimes were there? Wow, ये समझो. If crime is 1, then punishment also should be 1. Just because it is the limitation of the law that one crime is getting defined under the two different provisions, you can't punish me twice. And that is why it is written that if the offences which are punishable under more than 2 enactments, 2 or more than 2 enactments, then it is written that he can't be punished twice, thrice, he can be punished only once. Court will decide whatever maximum it can go for, but you are not allowed to be punished twice for the same crime. Yeah, but if the crime was double, let's say you have the two companies. Okay, in the two companies you have made the fraud. So how many frauds you have made? 2. So for that it can be like 7 years for the one company and 7 years for the other company. That is acceptable, but for the same crime you are not allowed to be punished under the two different enactments. That's what the section 26 is trying to say. Does it make sense or not, bhai? Arey bolo bhai. Does it make sense or not? Obviously yes. Alright. Then I would like to tell you here section 27 picture. Meaning of service by post. Make it 5 stars, very important for your exam. Now before I go to section 27, you have to learn the, I would say, the background of the section 27, what this background is trying to say. इसके पीछे की background क्या है, वो आप सबसे पहले समझो. Section 27. According to Indian laws, any department, any court, any authority cannot issue any order until and unless the proper notice of opportunity of being heard is served first. Can I directly punish you without listening to you that what is your part, what is your argument? In fact, it is observed in many Supreme Court judgments that if Income Tax Department directly issuing the demand letter without issuing the notice first, notice which contains the reasonable opportunity of being heard, then such notices, demand notices would be considered as null and void. क्या आप समझ रहे हो? उसे हम नल एंड वॉइड मानेंगे. So you tell me one thing, if you are the practitioner, if you are a chartered accountant and you want to practice it, you want to practice it. My first question to you is like, what you will try, or like what you would like to prove to keep to make your client innocent, to make your client free from all the charges. You will try to prove that department has not served the notice. अगर आपने ये प्रूव कर लिया कि डिपार्टमेंट ने कोई नोटिस दिया ही नहीं था हमको, सबसे पहले डायरेक्टली दे डिमांडेड द टैक्स, then guys, the entire whole demand, if you proved that notice was not served within the reasonable time, the whole notice may be considered as null and void. Do you get me what I'm saying? वो पूरे का पूरा चीज null and void हो जाएगा. अब मुझे एक बात बताओ बच्चा, एक छोटी सी बात है जो मैं आपसे पूछना चाहता हूँ. Burden of proof stays on what? Is it the income tax department's duty to prove that they have dispatched the notice? Or it is the people's duty to prove that they have not received the notice? There are two questions now. If it is the duty of the income tax department to prove that yes, we have sent a notice, then burden of proof lies on the income tax department. But if it is the duty of the person who is receiving the notice to prove that they have not received the notice, the burden of proof किसके ऊपर चला जाएगा? Public के ऊपर. So that is what my question is about this dispatch of notice. It is whose duty or burden of proof lies upon what? Public, who is the recipient, or the department, which are the government agencies. Burden of proof lies upon whom? That is only simple question. Did you get me what I am saying? So let me tell you, which a burden of proof lies on the people, not on the government agencies. So जो मैंने कहा है कि government agency को prove नहीं करना है, इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? There are some assumptions what the law takes. What are those three assumptions, guys? These are the three assumptions. Whenever my dear students, there is any question raised that notice is received or not received, government will always assume from the government side these three assumptions: that notice was properly addressed. Post what you are issuing now, because you need to pay some money for the post. For that post, it was prepaying. Prepaying stands for money was paid sufficiently, and the post was registered post. These three assumptions always law takes, and if anyone wants to prove that they have not received the notice or the notice was sent to the wrong address, income tax, or I would say government agencies, will not prove it. Who will prove this? The people who is claiming, who is complaining, need to prove that it is going against these three assumptions. Do you understand what I am saying? Do you understand what I am saying? क्या मेरी बातें समझ में आ रही हैं आपको? नहीं समझे? बोलो मेरे बच्चों, समझ में आया नहीं है? So what are the three assumptions? Properly addressed, prepaid, and by registered post. बस ये तीन लिखो, आपके 3 marks का बुझे. तो उधर नोट करके लिखो, these are the deemed to be affected by. Deemed to be affected stands for assumed by the law, that it was prepaid, it was properly addressed, and it was sent by the registered post. ये 3 assumptions law लेता है. So guys, 25, 26 and 27, are these 3 clear or not clear? बोलो. So after then, I would like to go to the 28, which is saying the citation of the enactment. So I don't want to tell you how to cite the enactment. It may contain the short title, long title, provisions, section, subsection, clause, subclause, provisos, explanations, illustrations. By taking all these things, you are creating what? The law. Got it? I think Parsh and Bhavna can understand this in the better way, क्योंकि हमने इसको डिटेल में इंटरप्रिटेशन ऑफ स्टैट्यूट्स में किया था. कौन से वर्ड में किया था उसे? इंटरनल एड्स ऑफ इंटरप्रिटेशन में हमने इसको डिटेल में किया था. Do you get what I'm saying? Sorry Dhanush, I know it's irritating, but okay, fine, just take it as like exam of patience maybe. Or we can shift to other class, but hardly I have just now 15 minutes left, and for that I think You request to Sunil sir to other class because I am patient but I have doubts on this service. So maybe वो शायद
Nowadays, it's fine, sir. During college, they were doing sir. The security guard is like, you want to use your WhatsApp, you should use security.
it is also their duty like we do.
Sir, they can do during this time, sir. At least during college hours, we have to use the washroom, sir. Entire third floor cannot go to second floor or fourth floor.
Right? अच्छा entire everyone can.
There are so many options, sir.
Understandable. My sympathy is with you. But just it's a matter for one day, so I request or I don't request, doesn't matter. चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं. Okay guys, so section 29 already I have said that until we're going to see the saving for the previous enactments, rules and the bylaws. So this is the same things what I already explained, that until the new regulations, new rules and the new acts are coming to the force, whatever old judgments, old explanation, old orders will be continued as it is. Make sense or not? And this will happen in the two cases: when the old act is repealed and in place of that other act is re-enacted. तो सीधी सी बात है, ये घटना हुई थी मेरे पास. मैं बताना चाहूँगा, I was teaching the Companies Act and this is the matter of I think 2015 or 16 around, when first time the government of India introduced the Companies Act 2013. It means it was very new to the market. So I was teaching the lifting of corporate veil concept. I think everyone knows that. And suddenly I told the students that government of India has made a mistake. In what sense they have made a mistake? Let me tell you. There was a question that if under any circumstances the total number of members get reduced below minimum. Let's say if you are a public company, you need 7. What if guys it is getting reduced to below 7 then I think you might have been explained that the government gives you the 6 months to rectify that, and within that 6 months you have to recollect. Otherwise all those existing members who are aware of that irregularity are liable for the liability. That was the provision. It was under section 45 of the Companies Act 1956. Unfortunately, till IS 2018, government forgot to repeat that in the Companies Act 2013. So today, in Companies Act 2013, there was no answer to this question that what if the total number of members are getting reduced below minimum. Answer was not there. So if this question comes to your exam, how to answer this? That was a big question for every faculty. It wasn't there, I'm telling you, till 2018 it was not there. And then what they have done is, in between the section 3 and 4, they came up with the section 3 capital A. I can show you that, if you can see here, look. MCA ebooks, जब आप इधर जाओगे, देखो, acts, and try to see the preliminary and this one. Are you able to see 3 or 4 के बीच में क्या डाला? It is capital 3A. Members severally liable in certain cases. When you click on this, guys, can you check it out when it was introduced? My question is, 2014 to 18 तक आप क्या जक मार रहे थे उधर? आपने ये क्यों नहीं लेके आए? माफ करना थोड़ा ऐसा बोलना जा रहा है, आप कर क्या रहे थे उधर? Lately in 2000, after 4 years of the introduction of the commencement of the act, you realize that, oh God, this provision wasn't there or isn't there. तो स्टूडेंट्स को आस्किंग मी क्वेश्चन, आप समझो बेटा, ICAI में अगर 2016 में क्वेश्चन आती तो क्या आंसर देते आप? एज पर द कंपनीज एक्ट 1956 जो था ही नहीं. Isn't it a serious situation? But I am telling you guys, this situation is tackled very well by GCA. GCA का मतलब क्या हुआ? And 29 says about this that if some points were there in the old act, but the same are not there in the new act, until the other intentions are appeared or something contrary is proved by the court, you are allowed to take the continuation of the previous law. आप उसको ले सकते हो. तो मैंने बच्चों को यही बोला था, till that new act comes, we have to go for the old act implementation, even if it is not there, but we don't have any option. It's a mistake, the government will rectify. And guys, my prediction came true. in the 9th February 2018, and government officially introduced Section 3 Clause A, capital A. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. Last one is the 30. 30 is talking about application of the Act to ordinances, guys. Ordinances. Ordinances. What is ordinance? First of all, ये बताओ. Rules passed out by the president. Okay. When it oh, कहाँ पढ़ा है ऐसा? कहाँ पर? तू बातें बताऊंगा. What is ordinance? ठीक है, you are right. You are right. We all know that once the act is introduced, every citizen of this country is bound to follow those acts.
Yes.
I guess I have to correct myself. Every person who is in India, no matter if you are a citizen or not, if a foreigner comes to India and buys some product, he cannot say I won't pay GST. He has to pay. He has to pay. So guys, once the act is made, it is applicable to everyone, all persons, not only citizens. But in order to pass the act or the amendments, government needs to touch the feet of the opposition also, if they are not having at least 2/3 of the majority in both the houses of parliament. Arey bolo bhai. You have to convince the opposition also. Otherwise, it would be very difficult for you to rule it. Arey hai na? Sometimes opposition is not in your favor, but you understand as being the government that certain rules are compulsorily to be announced to the public for their welfare. Then what to do? You know that the opposition is not cooperating, they are playing very dirty politics. But according to your calculations, certain rules implementation, certain provisions implementations are just like a game of the death and life for the public. During such a situation, as being the Prime Minister of this country, how would you have reacted? That's what my question is. So let me tell you guys, for the national interest, listen to my words, for the national interest, for the public welfare, if the government, existing government of India has the belief that certain rules need to be implemented, even if the parliament is not on, they can go to President of India and get certain provisions, certain acts signed by him, and as soon as President sign, without parliamentary session, come on guys, without parliamentary session, people are bound to follow those. But as Paras has truly said that such provisions can get signed by the President only if Parliament is not in operation. Parliament is not in operation. If it is in operation, you can't go for this kinds of presidential signature. Guys, such acts, such provisions which are implemented, listen to my words, which are implemented just by whose signature? President's signature, is known as ordinances. Guys, if this is so allowed, why government not going to the president all the times? Why they are waiting for the parliamentary session? उसका आंसर कौन दिखाएगा? The reason is the government can't do this because these ordinances are temporary in nature, and maximum tenure for which it can stay implemented is 6 months. आप समझ रहे हो? So how long it can be implemented? Answer to your question is, बोलो, 6 months. After 6 months, either you need to renew it, either you need to renew it. That is, again go to president, get it signed, again 6 months extension. Or if you have not renewed it, it will lapse. Why section 30 is important now? It is asking you a question that whether General Clauses Act is applicable on ordinances or not. Because I already explained you the application of this act. Sparsh हमने क्या पढ़ा था application में? This General Clauses Act is applicable to central acts. Act और ordinance वो act नहीं है, वो enactment नहीं है. वो तो टेम्पररी प्रोविजन है, अरे हाँ है ना. And that is why, my dear students, according to section 30, when you read it, it is clearly providing, as the ordinances are not central act, GCA 1897 doesn't apply on the ordinances. भाई मेरी बात समझ में आ रही है? Just a second. This explanation is not completed yet. I want to tell you, it doesn't apply. ये आपका real answer होना चाहिए. Because, just a second, if you come down here and just type the word section 30 of the GCA. Okay. ऑल राइट. तो आप एक बात समझो बच्चा कि यहां पे दो बातें समझनी है. Ordinances are not act, so generally GCA doesn't apply on them. But Supreme Court का एक observation है, which has become now the part of Section 30. What was the Supreme Court's observation? They have said there are two types of ordinances. Ordinances which are created and lapsed, and second which are continued. नहीं समझे? For example, when ordinance had been made, 6 months expired, no continuation, no renewal, lapsed. But what if it is renewed and continued? Continued. So they are trying to say that all those which are already repealed, Section 30 doesn't apply, GCA doesn't apply. But all those which are keep on getting renewed and renewed, आप समझ रहे हो? Keep on getting renewed and renewed, which are continuous in nature, as good as act in nature, on them GCA will be applicable. So write down a note for that. According to section 30, ordinances shall be deemed to be the part of central act. Ordinances shall be deemed to be part of the central act. In interpretation of the section 30, central act. क्या लिखा है इसके बाद? Central act. If they are made by the president, मैंने कुछ और लिखवाया था, राइट? In the interpretation of the section 30, if they are made by the president and not repealed, President of India and not repealed, that means any ordinance which is a continue ordinance due to renewals, GCA shall be applicable, which is continued, continued due to renewals. General Clauses Act shall be applicable. Pardon?
What does renewal mean?
Renewal means once it is expired, again you went to the president signed it, again it renewed. After 6 months again it got failed, again you went to president again signed it, again renewed. तो 6 महीने जब एक्सपायर हुआ, अब तुरंत प्रेसिडेंट के पास गए, प्रेसिडेंट ने जैसे साइन किया वो और 6 महीने के लिए एक्सटेंड हो गया। गाइस यही तो मिस्टर मोदी कर रहे हैं। आपको पता है ऑपोजिशन मोदी साहब को क्या बोलते हैं? ऑपोजिशन मोदी गवर्नमेंट को क्या बोलती है? गवर्नमेंट ऑफ ऑर्डिनेंसेस। वो किसी का सुनता ही नहीं है बंदा, क्या बोलोगे आप? आप पार्लियामेंट में आओ है ना, कानून तो इंप्लीमेंट होके रहेगा, चाहे एक्ट से चाहे ऑर्डिनेंसेस से, जो गलत है, डेमोक्रेसी के हिसाब से गलत है। लेकिन बेटा जब आप रूलिंग में आते हो तो गलत सही नहीं देखा जाता, ये देखा जाता है कि भाई आप पावर में कैसे रहो और उस पावर का आप लोगों का भला कैसे करो। That's all. So guys, this is all about I wanted to discuss in the context of all the provisions of the General Clauses Act. I think yesterday we started a journey with the section 5 and today we have ended up with the what? We have ended up with 30. But here there are few more points जो अभी हमको पढ़ने हैं बेटा। अब लिखो डेफिनेशन। चलो हम डेफिनेशंस की बात करते हैं।